Hello everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jaime. I'm the old guy who sat in the student affairs office for the last 2 years. I also am the guy who was always cracking jokes in the Great Hall. Before I begin my speech, I want to say a quick thank you to all the faculty and staff who have made my time at Penn State Shenango so memorable. And that includes everyone I have come across throughout my 3.5 years here. I could name everyone, but we could spend all of my allotted time going through them. Trust me, I wrote them all out already. But I will give a huge shout out to all of my family, my brothers and sisters that live in various parts of the world. And most of all, I'd like to thank my parents, my beautiful girlfriend Shauna, and my 2 wonderful children, James and Caitlin. So, I've had a rather unique life so far that dates back to just after completing high school. I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2010 and left for boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina 4 days later. In September of 2010, I graduated from boot camp, and my son James was born shortly after that. Now we are going to fast forward 3 years. In January of 2013, I left for Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Being overseas away from my son was a major struggle. The time difference made it very hard to communicate with him. We would work 36 to 40-hour shifts, go to sleep for the remaining time, then start over again. There were times I would go 3 to 5 days without talking to him. While in Afghanistan, I worked as a motor T mechanic. I fixed anything from 7 tons, MRAPs, which are mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, PLS trailers, which are palletized load system trailers, and MATVs, which are MRAP all-terrain vehicles. We also supported the Jordanians, fixing their equipment as well. In March of 2013, I received an injury while serving in Afghanistan and was sent back to the States for immediate surgery. My injury ultimately led to an honorable medical separation. After that, I moved back to the Shenango Valley, where I started attending a trade school for diesel power generation and heavy equipment repair, but unfortunately did not finish. I then went into the workforce as a forklift mechanic, got married, and had my second child. I was a forklift mechanic for roughly 1.5 years before I was injured in a car accident and sustained some injuries that ultimately prevented me from continuing to do my job. This was a hard time for me, both mentally and physically. At this point in my life, I had hoped I would still be in the military, but there I was, out of the military and now out of a job due to yet another injury. That is when I made the choice to go back to school, and I started at Penn State Shenango. When I began taking classes at Penn State Shenango, I felt like I was in the movie Billy Madison, but in real life. You know, going back to school as an adult learner. I was overwhelmed, yet I was eager to start a new chapter in my life. In my first semester, I was quiet. I did not participate in much of anything. I went to class and then went home. As an adult learner, I had a different level of responsibilities. Then one day, I met Andy in the student affairs office, and let me tell you what, I have not stopped bothering him since. He was close to my age, and we could relate in different ways. He was one of my first friends I made here at Penn State Shenango. I am sure that he never imagined we would be stuck together almost 4 years later. I then started getting to know Jaime and Stacy in the student affairs office as well. Towards the halfway point of my second semester, I got dragged into attending a student government meeting, which also happened to be the same semester that the current student government treasurer was graduating. So they were looking for someone to fill that open position. Both Jaime and Andy talked me into joining the student government and applying for the treasurer position. This was the start of me coming out of my shell and becoming heavily involved in the university. I held the position of the student government treasurer for 2 years. I got to interact with the students from every club at the campus, as well as the faculty or staff club advisors. I also decided to join the Veterans Club on campus, where I eventually became the vice president. During my time with the Veterans Club, we hosted an event in which we collected clothing, old furniture, and hygiene things, which were donated to the homeless veteran shelter called Veterans Haven in Warren and Youngstown, Ohio. We received so many donations that we had to make several trips with multiple vehicles each time. We held this event for 2 consecutive years. This was a big accomplishment for me and something I was very proud to be a part of. Things on campus seemed to be going great, but this was also about the time my personal life started to spiral out of control. My marriage was failing, we were struggling financially, I had lost a few fellow Marines that year, and life was getting the best of me. I was tired of school, tired of the curveballs life was throwing at me. I was just physically exhausted because I was only getting 3 hours of sleep a night or less. I was a zombie, just going through the motions of life every day. I turned to alcohol and it got out of control, and I found myself going down a dark path. One day walking to the bathroom, I walked past my kids' bedroom. They were both playing in their rooms quietly. Then my son came out of his room and asked if he could help me with some woodworking projects that I was working on. He said he wanted to work and make money to help out the family. Not gonna lie, I felt like I was failing him and his sister at that moment. It made me feel like I was being a terrible role model for my children to look up to. I told him, yes, he could help me that day. I closed the bathroom door and I took a good hard look in the mirror at who I was becoming. They deserved better out of me, and so did I. I made a promise to myself that day I would never go down that path again, and that I would never make my children think that they had to help support the family at their young age. So I made some very difficult decisions. I moved out of my own house, ended my marriage, and had to give up seeing my kids every day. But through it all, I stayed enrolled in school. So why do I tell you these things? To brag about what I've done or look for sympathy? No, not in the least bit. I tell you this because I would not be where I am if it were not for what I've gone through. I could have given up during this time, but I made the decision to keep moving forward. So I am here to tell you, as living proof, that even if you feel like you are at rock bottom, keep your chin up, because things do and will get better. You just have to be patient. I know everyone has had their own struggles through this time of COVID, and I am no different myself. My better half has been working in the hospitals as an RN, which is overwhelming. Teaching 4th grade math is comparable to learning calculus, and entertaining a 4-year-old with no social interaction is very trying. Oh, and attempting to get a federal in-person internship during a global pandemic was no small feat. There was a time not too long ago where all these things would have defeated me, but today I am still moving forward thanks to my newfound positive outlook and positive people I surround myself with. Here we are today after all the long days and nights studying, writing papers, taking tests, doing group projects, and finishing internships. We are finally here at graduation, our goal for this chapter of our lives. It hasn't been easy, but that's what makes this moment even that much sweeter. We made it. Congratulations to all the graduates, and best of luck to each and every single one of you. Thank you.